Standing Simmer here today, coming at you for another speed build in The Sims 4. Today we're building a family home. This is one of the first builds that you could probably consider of mine to be a suburban style, and that's actually kind of what I was going for when I first started off. I actually opened up my game the night before last, you know, as far as like when I'm recording it right now. And I opened it up and I was like, I just want to build a cute family home. I want to use some bright colors. I want it to be pretty, you know, as far as aesthetic goes and all that good stuff. Like that was actually what I was thinking. I just wanted to be pretty. I wanted to be suburban. I wanted to be a family home. So when it all comes down to it, I hope that you agree that that's kind of what ended up happening with this build. But either way, I'm really excited with how it turned out. And I think it's a really cute house and I would totally play with a sim family in this house. I say that, but then I don't actually use most of my own houses to play in. I build houses every week, usually 2 houses per week, and I don't think I've ever used one of my own houses in my own gameplay. That's not saying a whole bunch. I've not been doing YouTube for very long, but I've used an apartment that I've built for myself once before. 2 apartments, actually. I take that back. But as far as houses go, I've not used one just yet. So I don't know. Maybe this will be one of the first ones I use. We'll have to find out. I'll keep you guys updated. So like I said, today we're building a suburban style family home. And suburban is a word that gets thrown around a lot in the building community in The Sims. It seems like suburban is something that a lot of people do. In fact, there are a couple of YouTubers, Little Simsy to name one, who that's kind of like a meme on her channel. You know, suburban is what she does like all the time. It's what she does best, at least she thinks so. And so, yeah, suburban is something that does get done a lot in the Sims community, which is why I try not to, I want to build some sort of like different things. I don't want to build like all the same things that everyone else is building necessarily. But today's a little bit of an exception because I actually set off trying to build a home like this because for some reason I was just in the mood. And it actually ended up working out pretty well, I think, because like I said, I was, you know, just set into it to build it, and it didn't take me all that long to put this together. Now this might sound still like a very, very long time to some of you guys, but like start to finish with the structure and the furnishing and all that kind of stuff, it probably took me like an hour and a half or something like that. So, I mean, definitely not my fastest build, but for its size, I'm pretty proud of, you know, the time it took me to put this all together. I don't know, I got home from work last night and I was just in a building mood. And typically when that happens, I like to take advantage of it because it doesn't happen to me all the time. And I really don't want to have to force myself to sit down and build if I know that I have a build video coming up that I need to post. So it was perfect because I got home from work. I was like, I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to do gameplay. I mean, I had some videos to catch up on from some simmers I like to watch. And so I have those going over here on my second monitor, and I just built away. And like I said, it didn't take me very long. And so that was kind of cool. I don't often get in that mood. I like to build quite a lot, but usually I'm not able to just sit down. Gosh, there I go again. I don't sit down, stand up. I don't just come over to my computer and just know exactly off the top of my head what I want to build and what I want it to look like. Usually I have to have like reference photos or something like that, but this was actually built entirely out of my own brain, guys. So you should be proud of me. I actually put this together without, you know, needing to use photos or anything like that. Granted, suburban is a pretty like standard style. There's not a whole lot of intricacy to it for the most part, unless you see a simmer put like their own really cool, unique spin on it. And so, I mean, obviously it's not like this genius of an architectural design or anything like that, but I was able to build it without a photo, so I'm kind of proud of that. So let me just tell you a little bit about the specs of the build so you have an idea of what we end up with today when it's all said and done. I told you kind of when we started off that I set off wanting to build something that had like a lot of really pretty bright colors, and in fact the green coloring that you're watching me put on the build right now was the exact siding I had in mind when I set off trying to build this. I knew I wanted to use it and a lot of whites and possibly some brick, which we ended up with all of those things, which I thought was kind of cool. And so, like I said, that was kind of just like my basic idea going into this. I really didn't have any other idea what I wanted to do. And so that's kind of what we started off with. And when we end up, it ends up being this really kind of cute, tiny-ish house that can fit quite a few Sims, surprisingly. It's pretty much tiny because it's on a 20 by 15 lot. I don't know why I did that to myself. I think I started off wanting to make it a smaller home that it ended up. So I started off on a 20 by 15 lot and still ended up making it like a reasonably large house, all things considered. And so then it starts to feel like the yard's kind of smushed and all that, and I like lament my decisions and why did you start building this on such a small lot? But you know, it all works out in the end, because I mean, there are definitely benefits to having a smaller lot at the same time, because then you don't have as much landscaping to do and all that good stuff. But anyways, like I was saying, 20 by 15 lot is what this is on. There are no pack restrictions because this is not a Base Game Plus build. If you like the idea of Base Game Plus builds and you happen to be newer to my channel, I do those every Thursday. So definitely check back, or you can check out the playlist for those builds. We've done several at this point. I don't even remember how many. Don't ask, I have no idea. But it's been several at this point. And so if you like the idea of limited packs or Base Game Plus builds, we do that already, so you can definitely go check out those videos if you'd like. But I didn't really restrict myself today with these packs. To be honest with you, I was kind of like, when I knew that I was in the building mood and I knew that I wanted to do this, just get into the game and build something, I was thinking, oh yeah, I'll make this my limited packs build. But then I opened up the game and I forgot to use the pack restricting tool from the Sim Supplies website, and I hadn't even decided what packs I wanted to do or anything like that, and I was just too lazy to exit out of the game, decide what packs I wanted to use for this week's build, and then re-enter the game and go from there. I was just kind of already struck by the inspiration, and so I was like, nah, you know, this will just be another build, and you know, we'll do the Base Game Plus build on another day. So yeah, this ends up being, I believe, the Tuesday build. So you guys should be seeing this, if you're seeing it on the day that it goes up, the Tuesday build, and then by this, you know, toward the end of the week here in a couple of days, when Thursday rolls around, I should have some idea of what I'm going to be posting. I just haven't built it as of recording this voiceover, so that's fine. Like I said, I knew I wanted to build this more than anything, so I think it all worked out well when it all comes down to it. So like I said, 20 by 15 lot, it always takes me forever to tell you guys the specs of this build, because every little detail ends up like triggering something else on my mind. Like I'm like, oh, you know, rabbit hole, let's talk about this for a second. And then, you know, I just get completely off topic, and sometimes it takes me a really long time to cycle back around. So yeah, sorry about that. I guess, you know, I can't really do anything about it. I guess I could try to be a bit more focused and directed. Like I keep a note sometimes before I sit down to, oh, there I go again, sit down. No, I do not sit down. That's ridiculous. Guys, I've got to stop using that phrase because it's misleading, because then people are like, but I thought you were the standing simmer. It doesn't even really matter, honestly. I'm just making a big deal of it. What was I even saying? I don't even remember. Oh, I keep a note before I start to record most voiceovers, because there are like the specs of the build and things like that I like to keep in front of me, so that when I want to tell them to you guys, I don't have to think too hard, because you know, each build is obviously slightly different and I can't always remember all those little details. So I keep a note, and then anything extra I might want to talk about during the build, I then write down on that note too, so that way if I run out of things to talk about, I have, you know, like a little idea sitting here in front of me, like a little save, you know, it's like boom, there it is, just in case I need it. And so I keep a note, and you'd think I'd be a little bit more organized in these than I end up sounding most of the time, but no, that's not the case. That's not the case at all. So back to what I was saying about the specs of the build, in case you guys care. By the way, these are always down in the description, at least almost always. I try to just kind of put all the same information I'm telling you right now in a very short, concise format down in the description, so that way if you ever want to know the specs of the build and you don't want to wait for me to have to tell you, then they're right there in the description. 20 by 15 lot. We end up with 3 bedrooms in this house, which is kind of cool. I originally thought I was going to have to do 2 bedrooms, and I'm very excited that I got 3 in here, because then that means you can fit 3 to 4 Sims total in this house, because you end up with 1 double bed in the master and 2 single beds in the children's rooms. So yeah, 3 to 4 Sims can fit in this house, and we only ended up putting in 2 bathrooms, which is kind of on the like the lesser end for me. Typically I like to put in a lot of bathrooms, especially in my family homes, because you know guys, as you all know, when you try to play with larger homes of Sims, it's really hard, because it seems like they always all have to go to the bathroom right at the same time. And that's so annoying when, you know, especially when they're not like a couple and then you can't multitask in the bathroom and, like, you know, one be on the toilet, one be in the shower. Like, you can't do that unless you're a couple in the Sims, understandably so. But it's just kind of a pain if like they all have to fulfill their needs all at once and you only have like a bathroom or 2 and you have such like this large amount of Sims. So I try to put in more bathrooms bathrooms if I can in my family homes, but we only ended up with 2, but they are full bathrooms, both of them. And then we also have a separate laundry room, which is kind of what we're working on right now. I could have technically made that into a bathroom as well, and if you decide you really end up needing like another half bath, you could very easily squeeze another toilet in there, I would imagine. But I thought I would just make it a dedicated laundry room and that we would be good to go after that. So yeah, more or less those are the specs of the build. I really like the way that this turned out. Like I said, it didn't take me too long from start to finish to actually build, and that always kind of makes me excited because I'm a pretty slow builder when it all comes down to it, and I like being able to just kind of like sit down and let the inspiration flow, and that was really exciting that that actually did happen for me in this build. It's pretty simple, like I didn't put in a ton of clutter or anything like that. I felt like this house, if you had to describe it in a few words, Suburban would be one of them, but I also feel like the Sims who live in this house, the family who lives in this house, has kind of a taste for more modern furniture and things like that. So they have pretty minimal styles, and there are a lot of bright colors in a build that you might otherwise consider to be fairly traditional. I also feel like they may have replaced their front door because the front door is all glass. Like I haven't done that in my family homes until, you know, just this build pretty much, but I haven't done that before really. So I mixed the glass front door with the more traditional-ish type windows, some from the base game, some from Cats and Dogs, I believe, and then possibly one from another pack or two. But that's kind of was the mixture I thought ended up looking really nice in this video, and at least in this build, and I just kind of like the way it looks. The lower floor living area is also pretty open, which in my mind kind of speaks to the more modern style. Typically, at least in my experience, of course, suburban or traditional like family homes tend to be kind of closed off. Like there are a lot of hallways and rooms that are kind of all dedicated to each thing that you're doing in that room. So like the kitchen separated by a wall and door from the living room and so on and so forth. Whereas in this build, you know, the living room and the kitchen and the dining room kind of all easily flow one through to the next, kind of in an L shape. And of course there are separate rooms closed off from there, like the bathroom and the laundry room. And then upstairs is pretty closed off as well because it's a really tiny space and there are three bedrooms and a bathroom up there. But you know, all in all, I really just like the way that the flow of this house ended up looking. It's just very nice. So I'm gonna just quit saying that about the build because I think I mentioned this before, it's been a while ago now, but I feel like I always am like, oh yeah, so this is what I did and it looks really nice. And then over here, this is what I did here and oh, it looks really nice. But like, I don't mean to say that to be like, I'm not bragging or nothing like that. It's just, I just like the way it looks because I try to end up walking away from a build being happy with the way that it turns out versus me sharing something that I'm really not too ridiculously happy with. I'm gonna try to avoid that if at all possible as far as like sharing my content goes, because if I'm not happy with what I've created, and then the process of putting it together to put on YouTube, it just doesn't seem like something I want to do. Like it just doesn't seem worth it, because I don't want to share something with you guys that I don't feel like I can really fully like say that I like the way it turned out, because there have been quite a few builds that I've gone to my computer, I've opened up the game, I've built an entire structure, sometimes also furnished that structure, and then just bulldozed it or just shared it to the gallery and decided not to do it as a speed build because I didn't really like the way it ended up looking. And so, I don't know, you guys have to let me know, have you ever done that before? Like if you're a content creator, or even if you just build and play in your own game, have you ever created something and then you're just like, this is just not what I wanted it to look like, this is not great, I'm not really happy with how this turned out, and then just kind of like pitch the idea? Because that has happened to me. Actually, today, on the day that I'm recording this, I started to build the community lot, and I think the idea is okay. Like, I really like the idea, and I imagine I'll be implementing it sometime in the future, but what I ended up putting together just didn't look good. And so I just kind of exited the game earlier, and I haven't done anything with it since, but I'm definitely not going to continue building it as it is right now. If I end up sharing that one in the future, it will be because I've made some major modifications to it and I end up happy with the way that it looks, because right now, not that way. We are not there yet with this build. So yeah, you guys have to let me know if that's ever, happened to you. I imagine it has for most of us. I know that that's not an uncommon feeling, but I'd like to hear if that has happened to you, if you guys can relate. So speaking of, how are you guys doing today? Let's see, this is a weekend. As far as when you're seeing this, this is several days ago when I'm actually recording this, and off work, which is really exciting. I mentioned in one of my speed builds last week that I started a new job, and it has taken up so much of my time this week, as a job should. That's not uncommon. But I am working, way more hours than I was used to working, which means I feel just a teeny tiny bit stretched thin this week, but I'm so glad that it's finally the weekend and I finally get to relax and just kind of enjoy myself. And part of what I was kind of sad about this previous week that changed in my life, as far as the amount of time I had to dedicate to other things after I got off work, was that I felt like I wasn't able to interact with the community quite as much. Now, some of you guys might not know, but I'm active in a few Discord servers and over on Twitter, and of course in the comments of a lot of other content creators for The Sims as well. And I felt like this week I just wasn't able to be quite so active because I don't know, I'd get home from work and I would just be exhausted, and I'd have a ton of videos on my watch later list, and I'd have a lot of messages from the Discord servers, and a lot of stuff had happened on Twitter, and I just first of all hadn't been able to keep up with it throughout the day, obviously because I was at work, and then at the end of the day I was just so tired, all I wanted to do was lie on the couch and then eat dinner and then go to bed because it was so late. And so it's just going to be an adjustment. This week was orientation and then a little bit of my actual scheduled shifts that I'm going to be doing in the future. So it was a little bit more of a time investment than it should be going forward. And I know that, working during the day and having to come home at night and then do all of your fun stuff in the evenings is not uncommon. Again, I know that that's something that happens for a lot of people, but it's just a different schedule to what I'm used to, and I'm working a ton more hours than what I've been used to as well. So that's going to be really, really great come paycheck time, but as of right now, it just makes me feel tired thinking about it. So I'm super glad that it is the weekend, and that I feel like I get to interact with you guys more on a couple other platforms, and I get to create and record videos for you guys too, because I guess going forward, what it's probably going to end up looking like is that a lot of my videos are recorded and, well, like I said, created and recorded the weekend before, and then they just go out that next week, which I know that tends to happen a lot of the time. So just going to have to adjust to my new schedule, I guess. So hope you guys are having a great day and that you've had a great week this past week. And of course, we are already on to the screenshots after that little bit of a ramble there. So yeah, I just would like to know how you guys are doing down in the comments. Just chat me up or over on Twitter at standingsimmer. I'd like to hear how you guys are and kind of what you're loving in your lives today. So yeah, like I said, on to the screenshots already. I better go ahead and wrap this up. So thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate you tuning in. I hope you're having the best of days, and I will see you very soon. Bye.